Read this disclaimer. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, traders. This is Ricardo again for another video on the Forex market. Wow. From the last video about the pounds, certainly the pounds fell. Really, it fell far more than I expected. I must say the pounds really fell. So I'm going to tell you what I am predicting next for the pounds. But before I do that, I want to look at a particular currency, and that is the Australian dollar. And so I'm seeing something here, and so the majority of this video is going to be on the Australian dollar. So I want to get straight into it. Before me, I have the Australian Canadian dollar, the Australian versus the Canadian dollar. And I believe that we are at a crucial point. And when I do my analysis, not using any indicator, but I am seeing this here, and I'm wondering if it is going to play out. I have to think that it is going to play out, right? Sooner or later. I am predicting strongly that this market is going to go up. I'm really seeing this market going up because it really has a history of going up in and around that price area. And when it goes up, traders, it goes up a lot. This is a real historic low from 2013, and when it goes up all the way to the top, this is 12,000 pips, right? It came down again here in 2015, and it went up. Went here first, pulled back, but then eventually made it up here, another 12,000 plus pips. Now here you see it in October of 2018. It went up, never made it all the way, decides to come back down now and test the low, right? So it is now testing back this low, and so we are going to expect and look for this market. I'm strongly expecting this market to make its way back up into this zone. And so I look at the Australian Canadian dollar, and I'm seeing strongly here a direction of up to buy. Now we're going to look at the Australian dollar versus the Swiss franc. I look at this and I do a similar analysis, and when I look at this, I'm also seeing this. I'm also seeing this, that this market has come full circle. I'm not sure what happened there. What did I do? This market has come full circle, right? One of the things I want you to understand about the Forex market, which is what makes it predictable above every other market, is that it likes to repeat itself, and it likes to move in cycles. When you consider here the market move from here to there, if you really realize it was already at that point up here. When it was up here, it was already at that point. What it essentially did was move in our cycle, came down and moved back up to the same point where it fell. It reached here and comes back down to where it was coming from. So this is a cycle, goes up and comes back all the way around down, and it moves in this cycle, right? In last year, I predicted this move, and I made quite a bit of pips on it in 2008 October, that the market was going to go up, and it went up. So the market likes to move in these cycles. So when you check this out here, it moves from here to here, and eventually it moved from here. It has come back down. It may come back down all the way down here. I don't know. But somewhere along the line, we are seeing that it is going to go up. Sometimes when the market is going up or going down, it likes to retest. So instead of making its way all the way up here first, it went there, comes back down, and then goes up because the market moves in waves. When it was making its way down, it started from here but then came down to here, decides to test back the high by coming back up to it, did not find enough buyers to push it up, and so it decided to come down. And that's what the market generally likes to do. So I'm seeing that we are at these lows. With the Australian Canadian dollar, we are at these lows. With the Australian Swiss franc, we're at these lows, are coming into these lows. When we look at the Australian dollar versus the yen, we're seeing the same thing. We're seeing here that we're at this region. Let me pull this out here. We're seeing here that we're at these points where the market U-turns. It's just like these lows, right, that likes to push the market up. Now, of course, there are times that it's going to break through it, but you see that for the majority of the times, it pushes the market up, right? So somewhere along the line, I am expecting that this market, somewhere in the shaded area, is going to begin to make its way back up, right? So we have to keep this in mind and wait for the reversal. We have to wait for the market to turn direction, and then we can begin to buy. But this is something that I'm keeping my eyes clearly on. The Australian New Zealand dollar, not so much, but you can see that somewhere in this region also it likes to go up, right? This one I'm not interested in trading, right? So what that eventually means is that we are expecting Australian dollar strength. We're expecting AUD to go up, right? Somewhere in this year, we're going to expect the Australian dollar to go up, which means that we want to buy it because we're expecting it to go up. We're expecting the AUD to go up. Now, what that means is that if we're going to look to buy Australian dollar as it relates to the pound Australian dollar, we're going to expect that to go down, because if we're looking to buy Australian dollar, then we're going to expect the GBP AUD to go down, because we're going to expect this thing. We're expecting AUD to go up, and if AUD is going to go up, then the pound is going to go down. So overall, we're going to look to sell the pound versus the Australian dollar, because we are expecting the Australian dollar to go up. Now, the pounds just fell. So what that means, are we expecting a further fall? Well, my take, traders, on the pound, I want to show you something. The pound fell, and I predicted that the pound was going to fall, right? And it fell. It fell from the same area before. This is not anything strange, right? If we look left, it fell from a similar area, but this time it went so far down. Okay, now whenever you have a fall that is massive, there is always a correction. Either it's a correction to a certain percentage of the previous move, or all the way back up. So this was like a 100% correction. Fell, went down, and then it made its way back up, all the way back up, even more than 100%. So what is happening now is that after the fall that was predicted, we're expecting the market to pull back, which is what is happening now. So in the now, I had a friend of mine that said that he was waiting for a video, and I said to him, well, he only trades the pound Australian dollar. So I said to him, listen, the bias on the pound Australian dollar is for it to go up. He traded it up. This was like earlier in this week, and he made some pips. I told him I bought it and I came out. I do not know how far up it is going to go. May make its way back all the way up. I do not know. But what that means is that if you're looking, if we're going to look based on what we're seeing in the Australian dollar, we have to look, we're going to expect this to fall. So how far up it will go, may go all the way up first and then fall. Now, what is around the Great British Pound is the whole idea of Brexit. Right now they're choosing a new prime minister, a new leader first that will eventually be the prime minister. What I am expecting is that I'm expecting the pounds to go up, most of the pounds at least, to recover, right? And then I actually believe, and I can be wrong on this, that Britain is supposed to leave the European Union by October 31st. I believe that we are going to have a no-deal Brexit or something that is going to make this market go back all the way down to complete this cycle. Watch this cycle. Cycle, big move up, and then a big move down. A cycle, big move up, right? This is what you call consolidation, right? I'm teaching you about how this market operates. This is the consolidation, right? If it goes back up all the way, fine, and then we're going to expect the move all the way back down, right, to complete cycle upon cycle. Because what the market does, look at this cycle, what the market does is that it likes to move in these cycles, right? So if you look, right, cycle up, and put that in a different color, I'm going to make it bold. Cycle up, cycle down, right? Completes this cycle from where it started, goes back up, completes the cycle plus more, comes back down, goes back up, completes that cycle, and then now it is in consolidation. Now, whenever the market is in consolidation, it's in preparation for a breakout. So now it is in consolidation of up and down, and so it's doing this consolidation, possibly all the way up, and then the massive fall to complete back this cycle down here that it has been operating in. So that is my prediction. It may continue in this cycle for time and time leading up to Brexit into October. Might continue in this cycle up and down, and then eventually makes it break out, and then eventually breaks out. So we will see how it plays out. But what I'm keeping my eyes on right now is to buy the Australian dollar. Alright? I may not touch the pound Australian dollar because of the uncertainty with Brexit and in and around my technical analysis. When I do technical analysis, I like to analyze the market technically, right? Without considering like national events like these, because when you consider, you have to factor in national events like these. We don't know how it may actually really play out, and so I just generally prefer not to focus around that. So we're going to be looking to sell the pound, buy the Australian dollar. And similar with the euro. Because we're seeing that the Australian dollar is going to rise, for the euro Australian dollar, we're going to expect that also to fall. So we're expecting this to come down. So if we just use, one of the things that you can do is just use one currency to predict the movement against its crosses. So I'm expecting this to fall because I'm expecting strength in the Australian dollar. So whether it be that something happens with the euro that causes the fall, or something that happens with the Australian dollar that causes it to rise, that will still result in this coming down. Because if I'm looking to sell this pair, what it actually means that I'm looking to sell euro and I'm looking to buy Australian dollar. That's what it means. So what that breaks down to is that either the euro, something happens with the euro dollar that makes it fall, or something happens with the Australian dollar that makes it rise, but still results in an overall fall. Because if the Australian dollar rises, it means that we're going to still look to sell the euro Aussie, sell euro buy Aussie, or something happens with the euro that makes this come down. That is how these things work. So just based on what we're seeing happening with the Australian dollar, we will look to sell the euro Australian dollar. When we look at it from a technical perspective, this is what we see. Now these require long-term planning and looking into, right? But when we look in and around this region, the market likes to turn. Eventually there will be a breakthrough. It goes up. So when we see this, it goes up, it goes up, it was going up, going up, going up. Eventually breaks through. When it is the breakthrough, it begins to know that same area that caused it to go up, it starts to fall in and around that area. It starts to fall. And so we're going to expect the same thing. Support and resistance is not an exact price point, but it's a region, right? Where this may fall, how far up it may go, because we see it went all the way up to this point here, to this stop here, and then come down. Move this up here. We don't know, right? But what we have seen historically is that it likes to turn in around this area. So what does that mean? If I'm going to look to sell the euro Aussie, all I need to do is to wait. Wait for a change of direction on one of my indicators, or I go to the daily time frame and just look at this. Would you agree that if and when the market breaks this uptrend line, because it is in the buy zone now, if and when the market breaks this trend line and reaches over into the sell zone, reaches over into this zone, would you be confident? Let's just use red. Would you be confident in selling it if it breaks this uptrend line and enters over here? I will look to sell it. So technically, you can just be patient, because if the market breaks this trend line, it is going to fall. Similarly, when the market broke that trend line, it was in the sell zone, went into the buy zone, it just went up and up and up. So that is what I'm expecting. We just wait. That's what you do if you're using technical analysis, right? You just wait. That's all you need to do, wait. One of the interesting things about this trade is that when I do this, I want to show you something. And this was what I did with the pound. You remember the pound Australian dollar? When I predicted that it was going to fall, when I predicted the pound was going to fall, I showed you how, let me just kind of clear up this chart here. I said to you, I showed you this. how the market, this chart am I on? Into on the daily chart. I said to you how the market was responding to this uptrend line, and then it was at the back side of the trend line, and then it just fell. It was pushing it up, 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 up all the way here. It was in the buy zone, going up. Breaks through, enters into the sell zone, tests the back side of the uptrend line, fell. We see something similar here. Right? This one is not so strong as the pound Aussie, but it was respecting this, breaks through it, and then now went back to the back of it here and fell, and then now we're at the back of it here again. It did one fall up here, see, it did one fall up here, and it is going up to test it again, and then possibly fall. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. So I want you to keep your eyes overall on the Australian dollar. Right? Do not sell it. You're too low to sell. When you trade the forex market or just about anything you do, you want to buy low and sell high. This market is too low. If it's this low, you cannot be looking to sell. We sell high, we buy low. This is at a low point. We only can look to buy. So be patient, wait for the turn and look to buy. So that's the Australian dollar. One other thing I want to turn your attention to is to gold. Boy, I'm going to make this one short, but gold is at a crucial point. Gold is at a point, at a region that it generally U-turns in, and so this could be a major U-turn. I remember back in 2018 at the beginning, I sold gold and I made quite a few from it. And I'm already selling this commodity. I'm already selling this metal. I'm already in gold, shorting it, expecting the U-turn. I am waiting for it. You understand? And there's an harmonic pattern on this as well. So I'm definitely looking to sell this. Right? Don't know if it will break and go back up, but it is at this point where it generally tends to go down. And so that is what I am expecting on gold. Right, so keep your eyes out for this trade. Watch out for my videos. I'll be updating you concerning what's happening. But keep your eyes on the Australian dollar and continue to tune in to these videos. Right? Because things are happening. Things are happening. Right, so this is it for now. Right, that's just a general market update and commentary. And this is Ed FX Trader signing out. Have a great one. Remember, it is He that gives you the power. It is God that gives you the power to make wealth.